Hey YouTube, welcome to the Blue Streets of New Capenna set review. We are going to get going with All-Seeing Arbiter as our first card. All-Seeing Arbiter is 4 blue for a creature avatar at Mythic. It's a 5/4 flyer. Whenever All-Seeing Arbiter enters the battlefield or attacks, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. ETBs or attacks, draw 2, discard 1. Whenever you discard a card, target creature an opponent controls gets -X/-0 until your next turn, where X is the number of different mana values among cards in your graveyard. So it's going to be at least -1. And this is until your next turn. Cool. Very good card is very good. First pick. It's a bomb. It's a bomb. Up next is Backstreet Bruiser. Backstreet Bruiser is 1 and a blue for a creature Cephalid Rogue at common. It's a 3/3 defender. As long as there are 2 or more counters among creatures you control, Backstreet Bruiser can attack as though it didn't have defender. You can find better cards than this. Way back when, in original Theros, there was a 3/3 defender for 1 and a black that I kind of liked. You paid 1 and a blue, and it could attack. You had to do that every turn, but you could pay 1 and a blue, and it could attack, and it was okay. We haven't seen a card like that. We haven't seen a format like that where it's actually playable. I don't know that this one's terribly playable. I think you can just find better creatures 99% of the time. Wheel it, and probably don't put it in your deck. That's the wrong color of card. Why did that happen? Ah, I see. 1 second. YouTube, hold on. Twitch, hold on. I mislabeled card number 135. There we go. Up next is Broker's Veteran. Broker's Veteran is 1 and a blue for a creature human soldier at common. It's a 2/1. When Broker's Veteran dies, put a shield counter on target creature you control. It's okay. 2/1 for 2 is not what you're super excited about, but if you, let it die, which a piker will do, you get to put a shield counter on something. Hopefully there's something down that you want a shield counter on. It's still fairly filler. We're talking like 8th-ish pick range, something around there. Drowsy Pteranodon was pretty good, but I feel like that one just turned on regularly and never turned off. Yeah, Broker's Veteran, super filler, like 7th, 8th pick. Playable, but filler. Up next is Case the Joint. Case the Joint is 3 and a blue for an instant at common. Draw 2 cards, then look at the top card of each player's library. So Inspiration apparently is just way too crappy of a card, because this is literally Inspiration with look at the top card of each player's library tacked on. That is not very high value. People do tend to value looking at the top of my opponent's library once. It literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It gives you a tiny bit of information. It doesn't matter. It's not worth anything. But luckily, this card is just Inspiration. 4 mana, instant speed, draw 2 is hopefully a playable card. This will be the barometer of the format. If the format's too fast, this card is unplayable. You can't play it. If this card is the right speed for me, which I would prefer, this card is super playable and very good. So hopefully, this is like a 5th, 6th pick and totally playable. Up next is Cut Your Losses. Cut Your Losses is 4 blue for a sorcery at rare. Casualty 2. Target player mills half their library rounded down. So if you sack a 2 power or greater card, your opponent would mill half their library, and then they would mill half of what remains, meaning that they do not mill remotely as many cards as you would hope they would do. This is an F. Do not play it. It is awful. It is bad. Do not play. Up next is Disdainful Stroke. Disdainful Stroke is 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater. Disdainful Stroke is usually pretty playable. Let's do a quick check of CMC greater than 3, rarity less than rare. 56 commons and uncommons at 4 or more mana. If we do include all the rares, we're looking at 91. Good number of targets. Don't load up on these because they're not going to get the things that are going to be a problem early on, but they will typically get bombs. They'll typically get expensive removal. I'm pretty okay usually playing at least one Disdainful Stroke in the main, and out of the sideboard they can be incredibly good. That said, draft it lowly. 8th pick, maybe wheel. You don't have to spend real picks on these. Up next is Echo Inspector. Echo Inspector is 3 and a blue for a creature bird rogue at common. It's a 2/3 flyer. When Echo Inspector enters the battlefield, it connives. Seems fine. 2/3 flyer for 4 is undercosted, so please throw away a non-land card, because a 3/4 flyer for 4 is fine, especially because it looted. Yeah, this is like a top-end 6th pick. Like, I am actively looking to start picking these after the good stuff has sort of gone. So yeah, let's go 6th pick for an Echo Inspector. Up next is Errant Street Artist. Errant Street Artist is a single blue mana for a legendary creature human rogue at rare. It's an 0/3 with Flash, Defender, and Haste. Why does a Defender have Haste? Because it has an activated ability of 1 and a blue tap to copy target spell you control that wasn't cast. You may choose new targets for the copy. So you are copying basically nothing but the copied casualty spell. Or your second Brass Knuckle. Blitz is cast. Blitz is an alternate casting cost. Yeah, you're copying the copied casualty. This is bad. This is bad. I don't want to play this card. This is an F. Hideaway. You're casting the Hideaway spell. You're not paying for it, but you're casting the Hideaway spell. This is an F. This is for constructed. Don't play this. Don't pick this. It's bad. Up next is Even the Score. Even the Score is X blue 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 for an instant at Mythic. This spell costs blue 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 less to cast if your opponent has drawn 4 or more cards this turn. They haven't. Draw X cards. This sucks for 4. This sucks for 5. This isn't the literal worst thing for 6. 7. Okay. I don't want to spend... I don't want to pick this. I don't want to pick this. This is like an F until you're in pack 2 and pack 3, and definitely... It's blue, blue, blue. It's blue, blue, blue in a 3-color format. I don't want to play this. F. 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 I don't want to play this. I'm never going to put this in a deck. Blue, blue, blue in a 3-color format. I have to be putting 6 mana in it. No interest. No interest. Up next is Expendable Lackey. Expendable Lackey is a single blue mana for a creature human citizen at common. It's a 1/1. Pay 1 and a blue, exile Expendable Lackey from your graveyard. Create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with this creature can't be blocked. Activate only as a sorcery. That's not awful. I kind of like getting an unblockable 1/1 after my crappy 1/1 that I didn't really want to play in the first place died. That's not awful. This is still a very low pick. We're in the like 7th, 8th pick range. If you want a citizen, yeah, if you want a citizen. I like that we get an unblockable 1/1. It's kind of like we got a 1/1 flyer, except we got a mega flyer. Sure. I'm okay with this. Let's go 6th through 8th pick for Expendable Lackey. Up next is Faerie Vandal. This is a reprint from Eldraine. 1 and a blue for a creature fairy rogue at uncommon. It's a 1/2 flash flyer. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Faerie Vandal. Obviously, we don't quite have the blue-red draw 2 card deck that we had in Eldraine, but this there is a bunch of ways to draw, especially with Connive and whatnot. So this Faerie Vandal should still get decently large. It was a pretty dang good creature in Eldraine. I think it's probably going to be a fraction less good here, but I still think you can probably 5th pick this and feel pretty okay. Make sure you're drawing cards. Obviously, don't put this in your like citizen deck where you're making a whole bunch of tokens but not really drawing cards. Up next is Hypnotic Grifter. Hypnotic Grifter is a single blue mana for a creature human rogue at uncommon. It's a 1/2. Pay 3, it connives. It's a really expensive loot, but it's a loot that comes with a counter. And the second this is a 2/3, I think we're okay. And then it just gets better and better and better. It's a colorless mana sink. I think this is a relatively high pick. I think we're in like 5th-ish pick range here. Like, it's not busting the game wide open. It's not a bomb. It's not bonkers, but I'll 5th pick this. I think I hope for a day that we can actually utilize a mana sink. Maybe this set will be the day. Up next is Ledger Shredder. Ledger Shredder is 1 and a blue for a creature bird advisor at rare. It's a 1/3 flyer. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. So anybody casts their second spell, you or your opponent, this 1/3 for 2, which is okay, becomes a 2/4 if you loot properly. Sure. And then potentially even bigger. This is pretty good. I don't think it's first pick. I don't think it's quite that bomby. I would prefer like just straight up good removal before that. But I think we can go like 3rd-ish pick, 4th-ish pick for Ledger Shredder. It needs that first counter. So maybe I do want to stick on 4th pick here. It needs that first counter to be like playable. Happily playable anyways. But I think you can get there. So let's go 4th pick for Ledger Shredder. Up next is a Little Chat. A Little Chat is 1 and a blue for an instant at uncommon. It's got Casualty 1. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other one on the bottom of your library. So it's 2/3 of an Anticipate. But if you've got something to sack, it's still 2/3. It's 2/3 of 2 Anticipates. You do the math. This is fine. Notably, you don't draw the card. You just put it into your hand. That was always one of the tricks with Anticipate. Hopefully you have something to sack. Citizen token or something. Expendable Lackey. I think this is playable, but I don't think I'm going like out of my way to grab it. I'll grab it pretty much in the same place that I would grab an Anticipate, which is 6th through 8th pick. 7th, 8th pick, I think. I'm just never picking an Anticipate super highly, and I'm certainly not picking 2/3 of an Anticipate highly. So let's go 7th, 8th pick. Up next is Majestic Metamorphosis. Majestic Metamorphosis is 2 and a blue for an instant at common. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a 4/4 angel artifact creature and gains flying. Draw a card. No. Nope. Suit Up showed us what we could do with these cards by adding on draw a card, and it still wasn't good enough. And this is still not good enough. You know what I could play? A 4/4 angel. Those exist at common, basically, right? What was our angel count? Yeah, I can play a 4/4 angel at 4. I don't need to play this card. This is bad. Never, ever, ever, ever playing this card. Up next is Make Disappear. Make Disappear is 1 and a blue for an instant at common. Casualty 1. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Almost a mana leak. But if you sack a 1-power creature, you've got better than a mana leak. Probably still not great. For conditional counter spells, I really want like a Convolute. I want 4 mana. And this is 4 mana, but it costs me a creature, which is rough. Quench was awful. Quench was awful. Convolute was playable. This is a Convolute if and only if you sack a creature. I think you can wheel this if you want it, and I don't think you'll want it. I don't think you'll want it. There's got to be better ways for you to utilize your creatures than convoluting them. Up next is Obscura Initiate. I swear this art has already existed on a white card. I don't know why. This card does not look blue to me. Obscura Initiate is 2 and a blue for a creature bird citizen at common. It's a 2/2 flyer. Pay 1 and a white or a black. Obscura Initiate gains lifelink until end of turn. This seems pretty good. Windrakes are bad these days. This is a Windrake, but it's a Windrake with lifelink whenever I feel like. So super playable. It's a citizen as well. I think all of that kind of pushes this up into the high 6th range. I don't think you're spending one of your initial picks on it, but 6th feels pretty good for this, and I think you'll play... As long as you are playing blue-white or blue-black, I think you're very happy playing every copy of these that you can get. Up next is An Offer You Can't Refuse. An Offer You Can't Refuse is a single blue mana for an instant at uncommon. Counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. Wow, that's garbage. That's extreme garbage. F. I don't want to play a negate. I don't want to play a negate that ramps my opponent. F. Up next is Out of the Way. Out of the Way is 3 and a blue for an instant at uncommon. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a green permanent. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Cool. It's blink of an eye. Unfortunately, bounce is infinitely worse in modern Magic. There was a day where bounce was the best thing you could possibly do, but now everything draws a card when it ETBs. Everything does something on ETB. That said, I'm still going to try to play these until they make me lose the game on the card. I'll continue to try to play these and hope that they're good. Drawing a card will hopefully blunt the fact that my opponent's creatures all do something on ETB. So I'll pick this like 5th, 6th pick, but I am starting to learn my lesson about bounce. Hopefully draw a card keeps this good, but we'll see. Up next is Psionic Snoop. Psionic Snoop is 2 and a blue for a creature human rogue at common. It's an 0/3 with flash. When Psionic Snoop enters the battlefield, it connives. Not a citizen, and an extraordinarily defensive creature. I think you can wheel this, and I don't think you play it. Best case scenario, it's a flash 1/4 that looted, which is not awful, but there's better cards. There's better cards. Wheel this, probably don't play it. Up next is Psychic Pickpocket. Psychic Pickpocket is 4 and a blue for a creature Cephalid Rogue. At uncommon, it's a 3/2. When Psychic Pickpocket enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives this way, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I don't know if this is recording. It looks like it's recording, but my record counter has stopped. I'll have to look into that in a second. 5 mana, 3/2, ETB connive. When it connives, bounce. It's a little expensive considering we got a 3/2 flyer that did this for 5 mana. And this is not a 3/2 flyer, but it might be a 4/3 and it gets to loot. Probably still playable. I don't think it's as good as Roaming Ghostlight. Let's go 6th-ish pick and hope that bounce is still good. Let me check the file size of the recording. See if it's going up. It appears to be stuck at 1 kilobit. Let's push the record button. Up next is Public Enemy. Public Enemy is 2 and a blue. For an enchantment aura at uncommon. Interesting. The counter just isn't working on Streamlabs, but it is recording. All creatures attack enchanted creatures controller. This is some commander bullshit, isn't it? All creatures attack enchanted creatures controller each combat if able. When enchanted creature dies, draw a card. So I want to put this on my creature to force my opponent to attack me with all their creatures so that I can chump with this creature to draw a card. So if we pretend it's a reverse lure. We pretend it's a reverse lure. Or not lure, but you know what I mean. I don't want to play this. I don't want to play this at all. Like, you need such a specific board state and everything to be like right in perfectly built for you to line up the blocks perfectly to make it all work. You know what you could do? Play better cards. This is commander crap. This is 100%. I'm going to put this on you so that Billy over there has to attack you. Commander. Get this crap out of my limited format. F for Public Enemy. Up next is Reservoir Kraken. Reservoir Kraken is 2 blue for a creature Kraken at rare. It's a 6/6 with Trample Ward 2. At the beginning of each combat, if Reservoir Kraken is untapped, any opponent may tap an untapped creature they control. If they do, tap Reservoir. Why are those two words shouldn't be hard to say? Reservoir Kraken, and create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with this creature can't be blocked. So 6/6 Trample Ward 2 for 4. Seems legit. Seems like 2022 Magic. At the beginning of each combat, any opponent can tap an untapped creature they control to tap this, and I get a 1/1 unblockable fish. Seems fantastic. First pick. Great card. If they, if they can't tap something down because they would be too defenseless or whatnot, then I get to swing in with a 6/6. Or if they don't tap something down because I don't have a good attack with my 6/6, I have a 6/6 blocker. This card seems great. And eventually I'm just going to have unblockable fish that are going to eat them alive. First pick, great card. Up next is Rooftop Nuisance. Rooftop Nuisance is 2 and a blue for a sorcery at common, casualty 1. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Draw a card. Casualty of 1 makes this seem sort of okay. What was this? Jace's something or other sorcery? Needed to read that again. Yeah, this probably just doesn't have a home. Instant speed, maybe, but sorcery, nah. Super out on this being sorcery, even if I get to draw 2 cards. F. I'm never playing this. I'm never putting it in a deck. Up next is Run Out of Town. Run Out of Town is 3 and a blue for an instant at common. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on top or bottom of their library. So 4 mana Griptide. That's better than bounce. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe all bounce needs to be Griptides now. This is probably pretty playable, especially if people are doing counter shenanigans or aura shenanigans or other bullcrap like that. I'll pick this higher, I think, maybe than the Blink of an Eye one. They're both 4, right? Where is it? I don't remember what it was called. There it is. Both 4 mana, both instant. I'll pick the Blink of an Eye a little bit harder. But yeah, I think this is pretty decent. Griptide's always good. Interesting that the Griptide one is the common one. So yeah, let's put this like 5th, 6th pick, which is definitely a little bit higher for me because I love Bounce. And I'm hoping that Bounce is still pretty good. Can you respond to a casualty trigger? Because bouncing their obvious creature to be sacked is interesting if so. No. Because as you cast the spell has to be fully cast for you to actually have a chance to respond. Up next is Security Bypass. Security Bypass is 1 and a blue for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant creature. As long as enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives. I mean, we've seen better unblockable auras, and I still didn't typically want to play them. At least hitting once gets you a loot, which means maybe you can pretend that you've gotten your card worth in case you get 2 for 1. There's obviously a bunch of 2-card synergies that you can go off with it, but I suspect you can wheel this and play it if there's something cute that you can do, or if you really need a playable, but I don't think you have to spend a real pick on this. Wheel it and play it for a reason. Up next is Sewer Crocodile. Sewer Crocodile is 5 and a blue for a creature crocodile at common. It's a 4/6 with 3 and a blue. Sewer Crocodile can't be blocked this turn. This ability costs 3 less to activate if there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. 7 mana hurts this quite a bit. I really like mana sink unblockables. Passwall Adept was great in Guilds of Ravnica, but Passwall Adept was like a 3-drop. This is a 6-drop. If the format can be slow and grindy, this is a control finisher, and it will finish relatively fast. But the format needs to be friendly to this, and even if the format's friendly to this, this is going to at best end up being like an 8th pick. So I think you can wheel this and get one if you really want one, and we'll see if it's even playable or not. Up next is Sleep with the Fishes. Sleep with the Fishes is 2 blue for an enchantment aura at uncommon. Enchant creature. When Sleep with the Fishes enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature and create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with this creature can't be blocked. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Again, I feel like Sleep with the Fishes should kill something. I don't remember many mobster movies where they're like, you're going to sleep with the fishes now, and they throw them in the water, and then next week they come back out of the water. Anyways, 4 mana for a claustrophobia that gives me a 1/1 fishlet that can't be blocked. Cool. Sold. I like it. 3rd, 4th pick. Has no flash. We've gotten a little bit spoiled with like Capture Sphere and such. We didn't used to have Capture Sphere and all that jazz. But I think this is super playable. I'm in the 4th-ish pick range, 4th-ish pick, maybe. We'll see. Nickel Slayer, thanks for hanging out. Up next is Slip Out the Back. Slip Out the Back is a single blue mana for an instant at uncommon. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It phases out. Why? Why uncommon? Just because it's got phasing on it and phasing's complicated? I mean, if you want counters, I guess. I guess it's a Snakeskin Veil, but it's a Snakeskin Veil where you also just kind of lose your creature for a little bit, which is not a great Snakeskin Veil. It's probably playable, but I think we're in like the wheel range here. I don't think you need to spend a real pick on this. I would say it's like a Snakeskin Veil that I think is just worse than Snakeskin Veil. There's no upside to phasing your creature out, right? It survives the next removal spell, I guess, for a turn. Yeah. Yeah, wheel this and fit it in if you can, like a snakeskin veil. Up next is Undercover Operative. Undercover Operative is 2 blue for a creature shapeshifter rogue at rare. It's a 0/0. You may have Undercover Operative enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it enters with a shield counter on it if you control that creature. Okay. Cool. 4 mana clone that can clone anything. Awesome. Love it. Your opponent's bomb is now your bomb. That's great. And if you're the one with the bomb, you get a second bomb, and it's got a shield counter. First pick, very, very, very good clone here. Up next is Wing Shield Agent. Wing Shield Agent is 2 and a blue for a creature human soldier at uncommon. It's 2/3. Enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. When it attacks, up to one other target creature gains flying until end of turn. I guess wing, yeah. 2/3 for 3 with a shield counter, okay. And then something else gets to fly, definitely for sure, twice. Seems good. My 5/4 Rhino has 2 guaranteed flies. It's kind of like a Befriending the Moths. Cool. I think this is playable. I don't think I want to spend a ludicrously high pick on it. Like 5th? Maybe? 4th, 5th? Say like 4th, 5th for Wing Shield Agent. I think this could do some definite work. Shield counters seem great. Shield counters seem like a mistake. I hate mechanics that make removal look bad. I think it is bad design that is pandering to the I don't like it when my creatures get killed crowd. They're very good. They're very strong. They shouldn't exist. Up next is Wiretapping. Wiretapping is 4 and a blue for an enchantment at rare. Hideaway 5. Whenever you draw your first card during each of your draw steps, draw a card. That does mean draw an extra card. It is worded a little bit weird. It does sound like it's just reminding you that you get to draw a card when you draw a card. But no, you get to draw another card when you draw your card. Then, if you have 9 or more cards in your hand, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So 5 mana, one-sided Howling Mind. Sold. Sold. I played that one in Ixalan. I liked it quite a bit. And then, if somehow I get 9 cards in my hand, I don't know how I'm getting 9 cards in my hand. Because yes, I'm drawing 2 a turn, but I'm going to be casting them. So I don't really like the hideaway part of this, but I do like just the one-sided Howling Mine. Like, on. Love it. Great. I'm first picking this. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't care. I'm first picking it. And then maybe if I get 9 cards, but again, I have no understanding of how I'm going to do that, we get a free card. Up next is Witness Protection. Witness Protection is a single blue mana for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green and white citizen creature with base power and toughness 1/1 named Legitimate Business Person. Yeah, it's Frogify or whatever variant you want to think of as Frogify. This should be good. Like it's one mana. What's the downside that I'm missing here? Because it's not like +1/+1 counters are as wildly available as they were in War of the Spark. Because War of the Spark, you didn't want to play Kasmina's Transmutation because a mass just kind of made it look like a joke. But yeah, this seems fantastic for 1 mana at common. I'm in. I'm like 5th picking the first one, I think. And I'm playing some number of these. This seems great. Gimme. And that wraps us up for blue. YouTube, thanks for watching blue. Black's going to be not too far behind. Let me know anything you want to let me know about blue. Let me know what I'm missing about Witness Protection. I feel like I'm missing something. And yeah, I'll see y'all for the black set review.